Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, January 26, 2026. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Opposition members of Parliament have raised concerns after several of their parliamentary questions were reportedly not accepted by the Speaker of the House ahead of the budget estimates debate scheduled to start on Thursday, January 29, 2026. Speaking on radio earlier today, Opposition Senators Carlos James and Kiesel Peters said a number of their written and oral questions were rejected by the Speaker, despite what they described as the matters being clearly in the public interest. The questions were intended to be raised during the consideration of the national budget estimates, a key stage in parliamentary oversight of government spending. The opposition parliamentarians argued that the questions were relevant to accountability and transparency and said their exclusion limits the opportunity for meaningful scrutiny of government policy and expenditure during the estimates process.
Important questions I think a lot of people in this country would want to hear. Why a person's been sent home, and what is the government's position in relation to those persons who are deemed to be deported to third countries from the United States of America. And of course, the fundamental thing here is imposing these questions and the Speaker rejecting these questions from being answered in the House of Assembly is essentially the government hiding behind the veil of the Speaker.
The employee of the Ministry of Housing who was detained and held, and these things are very serious issues, especially if it appears that the police force is being weaponized against civilians, and we have to be careful and we have to be wary of those things. As it relates to questions for written answers, I submitted 4. 2 were accepted, 1 was deemed inadmissible, and the other one I was asked to rephrase, although I think it was clear enough, but I endeavored to do so. But the one that was deemed inadmissible had to do with the Prime Minister's chairmanship of the OECS, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States.
Meanwhile, Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, has written formally to Speaker of the House, Ronnie Durham Balcom, seeking clarification on the decision and requesting that the rejected questions be allowed to remain on the order paper.
I disagree profoundly with your ruling in each case and accordingly request a favorable reconsideration of your decisions. In the alternative, I suggest that you permit the questions to be listed on the order paper, and in the interest of parliamentary democracy and an alive constitutionalism, you invite the honorable gentleman to whom the questions are posed to answer or decline to answer. There is ample sound precedent in this regard going back in excess of 30 years in our House of Assembly. In any event, Standing Order 20 sub 2 of the House of Assembly Standing Orders 1989 affords you the discretion that each question be entered in the order book with such alterations as the Speaker may direct. I suggest that you reflect on this option. If your directed alterations do not meet with my approval, I may choose, as the elected member for North Central Windward, to demur in posing the question or questions as altered.
Dr. Gonsalves maintains that the rejection of the questions is inconsistent with established parliamentary practice and principles. He argues that members of Parliament have a constitutional right to ask questions on matters of national importance, particularly during budget debates, which are designed to examine how public funds are allocated and spent. As of now, there has been no public response from the Speaker regarding the concerns raised. In other local news now, we hear that President of the Public Service Union, the PSU, Elroy Boucher, has reassured public servants that all outstanding payments will be made as discussions continue between the government, statutory boards, and relevant authorities to finalize arrangements for the bonus payments promised during the last general election campaign. On radio today, Boucher explained that while the government remains committed to honoring the payments to public servants, he is confident that statutory statutory bodies will follow suit to make similar payments. He, however, noted that in certain cases, additional budgetary allocations may be required before payments can be fully disbursed.
When government give increases or bonuses to the civil servants, the public servants, the main public servants, it is often expected, and it was set by the previous government, that the boards of the statutory bodies will follow suit. They might follow suit, not necessarily perhaps in the same quantum, but they will follow the principle set by the central government, right? So in this case, I heard the Prime Minister say, make reference to the boards, and I understand that most of the boards are not even in place at the moment, that the boards may give some consideration to doing likewise. I expect that all of these boards will do exactly that.
The PSU president said the ongoing discussions are aimed at ensuring accuracy and consistency across the public sector, particularly where different pay structures and funding arrangements exist. According to Boucher, these consultations are necessary to guarantee that the agreed benefits are distributed fairly, transparently, and in accordance with established guidelines, while avoiding discrepancies between workers in similar categories.
The bonus, when we discussed the MAU, the bonus wasn't part of that discussion. The bonus was already announced by the opposition at the time, right? So it wasn't necessary to even have a conversation about it. Like I say, there was an expectation. There was a discussion. There wasn't a discussion on it with respect to.
So you expected that it would have been included, that they would have been.
No,
included.
I expect the principle
right
to be followed.
Right.
Right, of
right.
something
so people
similar.
Like Baxter and all these things
will
would have been
get
covered.
Something.
Urging public servants to remain patient as the process continues. Boucher emphasized that the Public Service Union remains actively engaged with the government and the relevant agencies to ensure that the commitments made to public servants are honored. He added that the union will continue to advocate on behalf of its members to ensure that payments are made as soon as the outstanding issues are resolved.
So I know that the boards have to be put in place, and the discussion has to be held with the boards, with these boards. So we're just waiting until the boards have been announced, and then have a conversation with the boards and let them know that in normal circumstances, this principle, right, there's a principle involved here, and the principle set by central government. And I said to you, the norm is this principle is often followed by these boards or the statutory bodies. Our responsibility is, when these boards are in place, is to have a conversation with them with respect to this particular principle.
The conversation with whom? The board
the
or
boards
the government? Okay.
who have to go,
so
if they require greater funding, based on perhaps because these institutions get a subvention from government. Right. So oftentimes, if they require additional, then they go back to the government to indicate this is what we want to do.
The PSU president reiterated that the union's priority is to protect the interests of public servants and to work collaboratively with the authorities to bring the matter to a timely and satisfactory conclusion. At a news conference on Friday, Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday said he has already given instructions for the bonus payments to be made by January 30th, 2026. And the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union has appealed to the government to urgently address unresolved issues affecting teachers and other public servants who were impacted by the COVID-19 vaccine mandate and are now seeking to return to the workforce. During the SVG-TU Talk program on Sunday, union representatives highlighted the challenges being faced by some affected workers, noting that despite policy decisions by the new administration to allow reinstatement, administrative and procedural hurdles are preventing several individuals from resuming their duties.
Ministry of Health is the culprit for that.
The Ministry of Health, you need to
nurses
check on that.
They want to go back to work, and people spinning them around don't know. They don't know what is happening.
Not just nurses, we have technicians and very skilled technicians.
I hope the minister help paying attention to this.
And you can't say one
can't
thing.
Frustrate the people.
And persons came, left jobs, left studies, everything to come back and resume duty, and are getting blocked at every stage.
They're telling them they don't have no.
They don't have vacancies. They don't have positions.
If all of us go back and you on the job there,
right?
I don't resume. It's not my fault. You tell me come back.
Exactly.
No, me come back. You tell me you don't have no space for me.
Yeah, but that's not.
So what is going to happen to my pocket? How do I pay my bills?
Exactly. That's
people want to be assured that they're going to get something. Not the bonus, the salary.
In addition to reinstatement concerns, the teachers' union raised issues regarding leave entitlements, stating that some teachers have been denied leave to which they are entitled. The union described the situation as unfair and potentially harmful to staff well-being, morale, and overall productivity within the education sector.
Yes, yes, I need to.
Those people, nobody for them do that.
Right, so that's
why they behave like that, because they don't have a heart.
Right.
If your heart make out of stone, the time will come.
Right.
You understand? So the thing is, when people apply for the leave, and you're the principal, all you have to approve or disapprove. The final thing doesn't leave with you.
Right.
It's with the Public Service Commission.
Precisely.
Right? The Ministry of Education will recommend. I know a teacher who was getting married and wanted to use a vacation leave.
Right.
Okay? To do the marriage and spend some time with the husband and so on, and the principal didn't want to sign the leave.
The union is calling on the relevant authorities, including the Ministry of Education and the Public Service Commission, to intervene, promptly review the affected cases and ensure that reinstated public servants are allowed to return to work without further delay. The SVG-TU also urged that outstanding leave entitlement issues be addressed in a fair and transparent manner. Director of the National Insurance Services, the NIS, Stuart Haynes, has disclosed that the National Lotteries Authority, the NLA, is among several entities that have borrowed funds from the NIS as part of its investment portfolio. Haynes made a clarification while speaking on radio yesterday after a caller questioned how an institution that has publicly reported strong financial performance could still be borrowing money. The caller sought clarity on whether such borrowing was appropriate given the National Lotteries Authority's reported profitability. In response, Haynes explained that the NIS operates as a financial institution that invests contributors' funds to generate returns, and lending to established and financially sound entities forms part of its investment strategy. He emphasized that borrowing does not necessarily indicate financial weakness, but can be a strategic decision aimed at managing cash flow or financing specific projects.
Right, and from my examination of their financial model, they make money every year and they spend it out they invest it in terms of social development. So they're not like NIS that will put aside monies to make future payments. They like a pay as you go. As they earn it, they spend it. So if they have a large capital expenditure, for instance, then it's in order for them to borrow in order to meet those capital expenditure. The concern would have been if they're borrowing to meet their recurrent expenditure. But for capital expenditure, it's fine for an organization like National Lottery to borrow simply because they're not into the business of building up reserve, and they have seen a track record from their income and expenditure where the income actually is increasing.
The NIS director also pointed out that the NIS itself has been recording improved financial performance, which he attributed to ongoing reforms within the institution. He said these reforms have strengthened governance, enhanced investment management, and improved overall sustainability.
My last conversation with the CEO, Seeley, it seems like they will be having a very good 2026 as well. The 2025 looks solid, but they are in the process of doing their audited statement. So it's basically the business model of the the company. That's in our assessment that we saw the need for them for a large capital expenditure to borrow. But it's really how they run their business model.
According to Haynes, all loans issued by the NIS are carefully assessed to ensure they are aligned with the organization's mandate to protect contributors' funds while generating steady returns to support future benefit payments. He reassured contributors that the NIS remains financially stable and that its investment decisions, including lending to statutory bodies, are guided by prudence, transparency, and long-term security. A two-day orientation ceremony was held last week for incoming heads of missions and consulates who will represent St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the international stage, advancing the country's foreign policy priorities and strengthening diplomatic engagement abroad. Hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Foreign Investment and Diaspora Affairs, the program took place on January 22nd and 23rd, 2026 at the Ministry's conference room in Kingston. During the sessions, the newly appointed diplomats were familiarized with the inner workings of the ministry, including its extensive mandate to steer SVG's foreign relations, international trade, investment promotion, and diaspora affairs. Speakers emphasized that fulfilling this mandate is vital for advancing the interests of all Vincentians at home and abroad. Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday, who addressed the opening of the orientation, expressed confidence in the diplomats' ability to serve with distinction, integrity, and professionalism as they undertake their roles abroad. He reminded them that their responsibilities extend beyond representation to include promoting the nation's image, values, and strategic interests on the global stage.
I say that these positions, when we, of course, select persons to represent our country abroad, they are persons who we have confidence will represent the policy directions of the present administration, as is to be expected, and will be vigilant in ensuring that those policies and the programs are executed faithfully, and will go beyond the call of duty because you believe in the direction that we are pursuing, and that is in part why you have been selected. Some may say, oh, you're selecting on the basis, it's not a reward. You may think it is, but it's hard work. You are selected to put your country first when you go internationally, to be our, well, we use the term ambassadors loosely to describe other fields, but in this term, this situation, it really applies. You are there to put our best foot forward, to take the good name of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in far-off places and to elevate it even further. But also, you know what the thrust of this government is. We try to keep it simple. We try to keep it simple. Our job, our role, is to provide a better standard of living for our people. To put, as I said in the campaign, take all the intellectualism out of it, to put money in people's pockets. This is what people tell us that they want to see, a government that takes their personal interests first.
The Prime Minister also underscored the importance of attracting investment opportunities, noting that diplomats are expected to help attract foreign direct investment and deepen economic cooperation with partner countries to support SVG's development goals.
We have all our grand ideas and our own personal visions as to how the world ought to be, and so forth. But we know what our challenges are, what our limitations are. But we also know what to bring to the table. We'll bring our good name. We'll bring a country that is committed to democratic transition, that one that uses that as an example in the world to say we stand firmly, consistently in that vein. You represent us in keeping those values alive, in projecting them abroad. But more importantly, we wanted to go out there to bring back some investment to the country. We wanted to go and create opportunities to tell the world that we are open for business. We want reputable investors to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to know that we are a country of laws, that your investments are protected, that we want you to be able to come and do well here, because when you do well here, we do well here. And so that is part of the mission. The minister has said this over and over again, that postings abroad, we are a small country, we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. You have to go out there and, I ain't saying selling St. Vincent, but making St. Vincent and the Grenadines attractive to potential investors. Making St. Vincent and the Grenadines attractive to our diaspora, people who have wealth, who have skills that are parked abroad and they want to come and do something here. So don't wait for them to come. Let me go to them and tell them that this is how we can build St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Among those participating in the orientation were the newly announced diplomatic representatives Kenton Chance, Ambassador Designate to the Republic of China on Taiwan. Chance is a seasoned journalist, founder and executive director of Eyewitness News, and holds a degree in journalism and international affairs from Ming Chong University in Taiwan. Roland Patel Matthews, Consular General to New York, a strategic pose for engaging with the larger Vincentian diaspora in the United States. Vinette Frederick, Ambassador to the United Nations, where she will represent SVG in multilateral forums addressing climate change, sustainable development, and small island states issues. Britton Horn, High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, tasked with strengthening bilateral cooperation in areas such as trade, education, and development. Angela Idisha Jackson, Ambassador Designate to Cuba, overseeing bilateral cooperation in sectors including health, education, and technical assistance. Also confirmed to continue in their roles were Luan Gilchrist as Ambassador to the United States and Garrett Bino as Ambassador to Venezuela. Minister of Foreign Affairs Fitzgerald Bramble said the government will announce at a future date the appointment of a Consular General to Toronto to further bolster SVG's diplomatic footprint in Canada. The orientation session is part of a broader effort by the government of SVG to strengthen its diplomatic service, aligned leadership with strategic foreign policy goals, and enhance the country's capacity to engage effectively with international partners in a rapidly changing global environment. St. Vincent and the Grenadines today joined countries around the world in observing International Customs Day, an annual event celebrated under the auspices of the World Customs Organization, the WCO. The WCO has designated 2026 under the theme Customs Protecting Society Through Vigilance and Commitment, which underscores the critical role customs administrations play in safeguarding borders, facilitating legitimate trade, and addressing an ever-evolving range of global threats. According to the WCO, daily vigilance and sustained commitment by customs officers are fundamental to social stability and economic growth. Comptroller of Customs here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Selwyn De Silva, said this year's observance carries special significance for the Customs and Excise Department as it marks the country's first International Customs Day as an official member of the World Customs Organization, the WCO, having formally joined on October 17, 2025. De Silva noted that the milestone places the department firmly within the global customs community and open doors to enhance cooperation, technical assistance, capacity building, and alignment with international best practices. He emphasized that the Customs and Excise Department plays a vital role in national development, serving as a conduit for economic wealth creation. De Silva said their mandate fuels trade, protects revenue, safeguards society, and strengthens the economic foundation upon which businesses and communities thrive, describing customs officers as both gatekeepers and enablers of growth. The comptroller pointed to the department's performance over the past year, noting that it has consistently met and in many instances surpassed its revenue targets. He attributed this success to the dedication of customs officers, the effectiveness of systems in place, and the integrity of departmental processes, which he said reinforce public trust in the institution. De Silva also stressed that revenue collection is only one aspect of the department's mission as it continues to embrace modernization and innovation. He said digital transformation is beginning to take root within the department, reshaping operations, communication, and service delivery. From the gradual shift towards paperless processes to the introduction of new digital tools, De Silva explained that the department is laying the foundation for a customs administration that is safer, smarter, and faster. He added that this transformation is not only technological but cultural, requiring new skills, mindsets, and a shared commitment to innovation. As global trade evolves, De Silva said strong partnerships are essential, noting that effective border management cannot be achieved by customs alone. He reaffirmed the department's commitment to strengthening public-private partnerships with importers, exporters, custom brokers, port operators, and other stakeholders. He said when they work together, they reduce bottlenecks, enhance compliance, and create opportunities for all, adding that collaboration is key to building a predictable, secure, and efficient trade environment. Reflecting on progress made in 2025, he highlighted the introduction of online payments and the establishment of the Vinci single window for trade, with the CARICOM e-certificate of origin being the first service on board. He said 2026 will see additional services introduced along with an upgrade to automated system for customs data, including new models for e-commerce, risk management, and post-clearance audit. The comptroller also acknowledged the rapid growth of online trade and said the department intends to manage e-commerce in a more efficient, structured, and data-driven manner. This approach, he explained, will ensure a fair revenue contribution, regulatory compliance, and support for legitimate business activity, positioning St. Vincent and the Grenadines to benefit fully from the digital economy. De Silva concluded by expressing confidence in the department's readiness for the work ahead, which he said will require discipline, creativity, and unity of purpose. He thanked custom officers, employees, partners, agencies, and stakeholders for their dedication and professionalism, reaffirming the department's commitment to building a modern customs administration that protects the nation's facilities, trade, and drives economic prosperity. St. Vincent and the Grenadines joined the global community on Saturday, January 24, 2026, in commemorating International Day of Education, an annual observance that highlights the critical role of education in national development and global progress. In his statement to mark the occasion, Minister of Education, Vocational Training, Innovation, Digital Transformation, and Information, Philip Jackson, emphasized the importance of education as a fundamental pillar for economic growth, social inclusion, and sustainable development. He noted that the observance underscores the government's continued commitment to strengthening the education sector through innovation, skills training, and the integration of digital technology.
Our children and young people are constantly learning, and I might add, teaching us too, through what they see, hear, feel, and create in the various spaces they occupy. It takes a village to raise a child. I want each of us to see ourselves as partners in the proper education of our children, leading to happy, caring, patriotic, and productive citizens. Education begins at home, where young voices should be heard, encouraged, and respected. And I want each of us as parents to support each other in our neighborhoods. Look out for each other's children. This is where it's at. This is how it happens. Education continues on our streets, where the way we speak to each other, the way we relate to each other are powerful examples to our children to imitate. Let's greet them in a positive and energetic manner so they too can learn to respond and develop respect at the community level. Then the children enter our buses. Students learn by listening. The music you play on the buses and the level at which you play it affects our children. And loud, lewd music can affect them negatively, destroying their hearing as well as introduce to them ideas and concepts that are way above their age.
Minister Jackson also acknowledged the vital contributions of teachers, students, parents, and other stakeholders, describing them as essential to advancing learning opportunities across the country. He noted that educators in particular continue to play a pivotal role in shaping the nation's future by fostering critical thinking, creativity, and resilience among learners.
When students feel seen, heard, listened to, and valued, they in turn assume greater responsibility for themselves, their classmates, their schoolmates, and for their school. They begin to think and act in ways that positively create the education experience in an attitude of caring and cooperation. On the playing fields and in the school clubs and co-curricular activities, you develop leadership, teamwork, and resilience. Within community clubs, groups, and organizations, young people contribute ideas, talents, and energy, helping to shape spaces where learning extends beyond textbook and into real life.
International Day of Education is observed annually to raise awareness of the role education plays in promoting peace, sustainable development, and an improved quality of life worldwide. The day also serves as a reminder of the need for inclusion, equitable, and quality education for all, in keeping with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Minister Jackson reaffirmed the government's commitment to working with all partners to build a resilient, innovative, and inclusive education system that supports national development and empowers future generations. In more local news now, we hear that Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday has reaffirmed his government's full support for the Bequia Music Festival, describing it as a vital cultural and economic event for the nation. Speaking at the launch of the 2026 staging of the festival on Saturday, Prime Minister Friday, who is also the parliamentary representative for the Northern Grenadines, acknowledged that the Bequia Music Festival is one of his favorite events and reflected on the festival's growth over the years. He noted the festival's organic development, its increasing diversity, and its growing significance to both local communities and the tourism sector.
The hope and the dream for this festival has never diminished. And so I'm happy to see that there is a renewed energy and push to get it up and on the trajectory that it was on to become a major festival here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It had been on that course, as I said, but now we are back. And I want to thank all of those persons who have given of their time, because quite frankly, it's a work of love and effort that's put in by primarily volunteers. And that includes a lot of the performers. Of course, being the Prime Minister of the country gives me a little bit more influence to say that the things that we treasure and value, that we could do more than just talk. We now have to walk the talk. So I am fully committed to seeing this festival and others. We have coming up the Sailing Week, we have Easterval, we have so many festivals throughout the country that with a little bit of planning and coordination and the commitment, knowing that it comes from the very top, because it is not only culture, it is also part of our economic activity. And so I want to give you that commitment that we are behind this festival, that you will get support through the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, and I know Lottery has come forward big this year. All of these things are necessary to get us moving, because it's one thing to have an idea. You have volunteers, but you also, money talks. And you have to make sure that we put the resources in place to build it up. At some point, it may become self-sustaining, and that is our hope.
The Bequia Music Festival, which runs from January 24 through February 1st, 2026, originally started by the Bequia Tourism Association in the early 2000s with partnership from the Mustic Blues Festival. It has grown from a one-night event into a multi-day celebration featuring a wide range of international, regional and local musical acts across genres. Pointed out that culture is a pillar of national development, Prime Minister Friday encouraged greater support for initiatives that showcase Vincentian talent and inspire young people. He emphasized that cultural events like the Bequia Music Festival not only celebrate artistic expression but also help drive tourism, create opportunities for small businesses and contribute to economic diversification throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It's more than that too. We say only culture, but there's nothing only about culture. Culture is what defines us. It's what tells people who we are as Vincentians and what gives us pride in being Vincentian. So we have to promote that. We have to hold on. They say, and I wouldn't use the phrase here. You know what I'm talking about? All right, we say we have to hold on to your own. Okay. So all right. Others have used it, but we can use it too. We have to make sure that we build our activities, the things that showcase our culture, that encourages, the things that encourage our young people to say, one day I want to come up on the stage and perform. I want to be able to show off my talents. And when they see that, then they're encouraged. They get the support. They get things to dream, to aspire to, because it's a reality, it can come true. So that is an important component of it as well. And there's so many things that are happening all across the country, you know? But it has to have coordination. And I tell you that certainly, you know, we had election recently, I could still talk about campaigning. But we had talked about 4 pillars of the economy that we intend to build. Agriculture, tourism, and the blue economy, people are very familiar with. But we spoke also of the new economy. And for us, we broadened the definition from just digital infrastructure and improving all the information technology and so forth to include things like culture that some people call the orange economy. But we say part of that is building the economic component of it. So that is a reason as well why we are so much behind this. It's not just a matter of saying we're supporting an activity here, discreetly separate and so forth. It's all part of an integrated plan to build the economy in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Local tourism stakeholders have long highlighted the festival's role in boosting visitor arrivals during a traditional quieter part of the tourism calendar between Christmas and Easter. The event's intimate setting on Bequia draws music lovers from across the Caribbean and beyond, helping to fill guest houses, restaurants, and other service sector businesses on the island.